Today I'd like to discuss with you the topic of weariness. I drove in today extremely weary from a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties that are just going on in our life right now. And I had a good breakthrough, but for me, understanding that I was weary was probably a big, if not the biggest part of my morning. And I'll just tell you, over the last couple of hours, things have gotten progressively better, and I feel tremendously better because I was able to identify it. And weariness, there's a lot of Greek words that the definition comes from, but in some respects, weary is about being beaten. It's fatigue from being even beaten out, kind of like a rug that you beat out. It comes also from a sense of exhaustion from conflict or exhaustion from battle. There's a sense of just an unrelenting war that we feel that produces in us an extreme weariness. Weariness can also be defined as exhausting the patience of someone, which produces weariness. It also comes from a connotation of extreme frustration, which gives way to hopelessness and despair. And I will tell you, as I'm even talking with you right now, I'm sure that many of you are struggling with weariness. If you were to have visited with Samantha and I on a 7-day week early on in recovery, we would both tell you that probably somewhere between 3 and 7 days out of that week, we were extremely weary. Life just doesn't get put on hold. There's life challenges, and then there's recovery challenges, and then there's the gross uncertainty of your life, your marriage, and your family when you are early on in recovery. And so today I want to help you with weariness. I know that for me, when I was able to identify it this morning, I immediately felt a sense of freedom. My hope today is to give you some things that I have identified that will help you in recovery, because when you're dealing with weariness in just kind of life and business and finances, it's one thing. But when you're dealing with weariness in recovery, it's an entirely different thing. Some of the things that maybe work for exhaustion from work or financial issues don't always help the same way when it comes to weariness in recovery. So I hope that these things really help you and are able to be tools for you in your toolbox as you try and really heal from the devastation you're in. I'm always hesitant because, when you're talking about weariness and you're exhausted, you're impatient, you're struggling, you're hopeless, whatever, from trying to do stuff that hasn't worked, and so then someone comes and says, well, do these things. So indulge me, because it's not that type of message. Number one is, I will tell you, if I had known this, it would have made things a lot easier, but you've got to get a lot of rest, and you've got to watch your diet when you're weary. You just have to. I know that if I had paid more attention to my lifestyle and what I was eating, what I was drinking, how I was living, I probably would have at least made it 20% easier by getting more rest, eating healthier, and taking care of myself. Number two, when you're weary in recovery, sometimes one of the best things that you can do is disconnect. If you're trying to do the 7-day boot camp, maybe one night you just go, I can't do it tonight. Now, if you have not been able to do it every other night, that's a problem, especially if you're an unfaithful spouse, so please don't run with that. But some nights you may just say, you know what, I need to watch TV, I need to watch a movie, feed the kids macaroni and cheese, whatever they like, something that's simple. Go buy dinner if you can afford it and just throw it on the table and say, all right, fun time. But you know what? It's okay to disconnect and not try and solve issues. It's okay to be frustrated and not do anything about it. It's okay to say, and this is kind of a funny thing that they taught us in seminary, because some of you may or may not know I went to seminary, and they would say to someone who was a missionary or who was constantly trying to preach the gospel, they would say, look, you probably just need to get some rest and take a day off. There's always going to be people that need to hear the gospel. There's always going to be more people that will listen to you and will need to hear what you're saying. Maybe you can't save the world today. And I will tell you that maybe you can't save your marriage today. Maybe today's a day to go out, have a good dinner with your spouse or your partner, and not talk about anything infidelity related if you can. Maybe it's time to go out by yourself and have a dinner and just simply enjoy life without doing recovery work, and tell yourself that it's okay to do that. It really, absolutely is okay to not do recovery work on this day or that day. It's okay to have some disconnection time when you're weary. The next one, and this is a big one, is really about surrender. So many times, and I'm still a control freak. Just today I was so frustrated, and frustration is a form of pride because it comes from a sense of impatience. You know, we get frustrated because we want things to be our way, which is pride, and we can't have things our way, so we're impatient and we struggle. And so today I just really had to have a moment where I was able to say, I'm trying to control these things. I'm trying to control this about this person and that person and Samantha and this, and you know what? I'm trying to control, and I'm not okay today because so-and-so's not okay. I don't know, I'm not going to say that's codependence. It definitely is a form of a lack of differentiation between me and Samantha. But I will just tell you, when I was able to say, wait, I can't control what they are doing, there was like this breathe out moment where I was able to let go of some frustrations that I'm dealing with and really just enjoy the morning and enjoy life for how it is right now and be okay that some things are not okay. One of the best things that you can do is be okay with things not being okay right now. The next thing I want to tell you is that surrendering is not quitting. I used to think that surrendering was quitting, and I'm not a quitter. I don't like to quit. I don't like to quit anything, and it's been a downfall in my life. So much so that I would rather do something worse and suffer the consequences and cause a lot of collateral damage just to say I didn't quit. And it's okay to surrender to the reality of radical acceptance. This is the way it is. I can't change them. I can't change myself right now. I'm doing what I can, but you know what? This is the way it is, and that's okay. That's not quitting. That's wisdom. Accepting the fact that you can't make your spouse want you, accepting the fact that you can't change your spouse from acting out and you can't make them want you because they keep going back and forth, they keep doing this and that. It's okay to surrender to the fact that that's going on and really not be a quitter. It's okay to surrender to the fact that your marriage is over and that you did everything that you could, or maybe you did not do everything that you could, but you worked very hard and you couldn't control the fact that your spouse didn't want to give up their affair partner or that your spouse didn't want to forgive you. And you know what? It's over. It's okay. You're not a quitter. You're an acceptor. And if you can't accept it, you're not going to be able to heal from it, and you're not going to be able to progressively move on to the next chapter of your life. When we're weary, sometimes we're weary because we're making bad choices. Sometimes we're weary because our bad choices, our sin, our hypocrisy confronts us. And so one of the best ways to diffuse the weariness is to accept the fact that we're being stubborn, or what we're doing is wrong, or what we're doing is hurtful, or that we are wounding our spouse, or that we're wounding ourselves, or that we are in sin, or whatever it is. But oftentimes, we've got to confront the dysfunction inside of us, and it will actually help release you from a sense of weariness because you don't continue to spin your wheels over it. You just basically accept it and confront it and say, yes, I'm dragging my feet. I'm afraid to talk about this. And you know what? I can just be honest with myself, because if I'm honest with myself, I'm not going to immediately feel wonderful, but I am going to be able to take me to the next step, which is maybe grieving and despair over the fact that I've been lying to myself. But as I move through grief and despair, I can come to a sense of acceptance and joy and break free of the weariness because I'm no longer living a lie. The final thing is, stop trying to numb the weariness that you're feeling. I think it was Brené Brown that said we can't selectively numb. If we just try and numb certain emotions, we end up numbing all of us, and that can be very destructive. I drank a lot to try and numb the pain that I felt of self-hatred, self-loathing, being angry at the way people treated me when I was at the lowest part of my life. I mean, on and on. I tried to numb and I couldn't. I did a lot of things to try and numb. The problem was I ended up causing more trouble and more pain and more frustration for Samantha. And so I want to encourage you, don't try and numb the pain. Confront it head on. Deal with it with a sense of community, of expert help, and stop trying to numb it, because the more you numb it, the more you're going to damage yourself and probably damage your spouse and damage the ones that are around you because they're caught up in your life. And so when you're trying to numb the pain and the hurt, you're actually going to do more damage. If you'll slowly but surely confront it, if you'll slowly but surely get expert help to begin to stop trying to numb it, it may hurt more in the short term, but it's going to actually help you heal quicker. It's kind of like getting stitches. It hurts like heck to get stitches. They got to numb it and then they got to suture it up, but it actually helps you heal quicker than a gaping wound that's just left open to get infected and get worse and worse. If you need help on how to confront it, just message me, whether it be on Twitter, or put a comment down below, and I'll do my best to give you some thoughts on how to confront it and how to get healthy and how to stop trying to numb the pain.